Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today we are watching ValkyrWarframe in the Atlanta, the Tier 7 US Premium Cruiser. He is on the map Fault Line in a 3-point domination game mode. It's a Tier 7 battle, but with almost no Tier 7s around. There is one enemy carrier, which I guess is nice because the Atlanta has some nice anti-air and unlimited use of the anti-air consumable. And yeah, this replay is as usual on wowreplays.com, and I will put a link in the video description. Now the Atlanta itself isn't the best ship. She needs an experienced player to get the most out of her, and she is hard to play because she has very few hit points and is not very well armored, and is basically more like a destroyer with crappy torpedoes and no smoke. And citadels, which is the downside. Now here in the beginning of the map we can see ValkyrWarframe has used his radar ability in order to discourage this destroyer of camping inside Alpha. That destroyer is moving away and is engaging a friendly destroyer here. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any support here yet. The battleships are on the way, but the battleships spawned in the center and it will take them a while to get here. Now we can also see he is using this island here as a nice cover, and the Americans have a very high shell arc, so he has no trouble lobbing his shells over this island, and the enemy carrier is way out of position. I have no idea what this carrier is doing here. There is an airstrike incoming. He has used his defensive fire consumable, and considering the HP of the carrier, this will be the only airstrike during this battle. And the anti-air is doing a great job of decimating those planes. But yeah, the carrier is gone. I'm really not sure what this carrier's plan was, but you don't drive that aggressively in a carrier, obviously. Now there is a enemy cruiser flanking him, and yes, you can see the hit point difference. Those are two Tier 7 cruisers. Now he is trying to get out of here. The New Mexico is currently behind an island, and that was an high explosive salvo. Imagine if that battleship had shot armor piercing, then this battle might have been over already. And yeah, he has to get out of there and retreat, and Atlanta can't stay in this position, not with that many enemies around. And the friendly battleships, they are still on the way. Unfortunately, you cannot choose where you spawn, and if you spawn somewhere like here in the battleship, it just simply takes you a lot of time to arrive at a point. Now the enemy team has taken Bravo, the friendly team has taken Charlie. There is a friendly ship who seems like he hasn't moved yet. Not sure what's going on over there. Maybe there is an AFK player. But the friendly team secured this cap point, and it looks like the friendly team has the advantage over there. The enemies might be in retreat already, so maybe those ships over there can capture either, or maybe they have to stay and defend. So far, no team has taken Alpha yet. Unfortunately, the friendly team has only one destroyer left, and the enemies still have 3, and there is one of the enemy destroyers. I'm not sure why the enemy destroyers aren't capturing A already, but this poor little destroyer here is caught out on the open. He is using smoke, but there is still one use of radar available for our Atlanta here. Now he hasn't used his radar immediately. I think he wants to be in a better position, because currently this island is most likely blocking his shots, and radar doesn't have an unlimited uptime. So now he is using radar. He has cleared the mountain and he is going to hunt down that Mutsuki. Mutsuki has obviously realized that he is spotted and is now trying to run away and find some shelter behind an island. But more importantly, there is a second destroyer, and the Gremyachny is obviously the more important target. He is so close, he will probably try to launch his torpedoes this way. Now the Gremyachny has no hope of escaping with the radar going, and yeah, so the Mutsuki escaped, but at least the other destroyer is down. There is a cruiser again, who is showing his broadside currently. But this cruiser is way too far ahead. He's sailing straight into the friendly battleships, and he will probably not be alive for long. I'm not exactly sure what the plans of this cruiser are. I can understand if he's frustrated with his team. It looks like the enemy has the advantage at Point Alpha, but they aren't really using it. The friendly battleships here are still hanging in the back. They just don't wanna sail into all those enemies, I guess. On the other hand, if the friendly battleships stay here in the back, they aren't necessarily doing all that much. They could just try to go for Bravo instead, and just the whole team could meet up here in the middle and try to take this point and abandon Alpha. I mean, they don't really have the force to necessarily take that. I guess they could try to push in with all of those battleships at the same time. Meanwhile, ValkyrWarframe is getting a bit frustrated, I think, because he is the front line of his team, and that's not what you wanna be in an Atlanta. An Atlanta really can't take a lot of damage. So you would love to have your battleships in the front and be able to support them. And I mean, ValkyrWarframe was basically the whole game so far in a position to support any assault on Alpha. Was just not happening so far. On the bright side, the cruiser that had moved here some time ago is, well, maybe he was just AFK in the beginning or whatever, but looks like he is playing. So this point looks very tempting, but you can't go in there in an Atlanta. You can see there is a New Mexico pretty close already. Atlanta stands no chance in a close quarter fight against the battleship. Although she does have torpedoes, but they are very short range. And he will try to once again use this island as a cover and lob shells over it against some enemies. And that's where an Atlanta is good at. An Atlanta can pump out a crazy amount of shells. If you have the captain skill that increases your fire chance, you are very good at starting fires at enemies, and you just rain fire down at them, and hopefully you are somewhere where you can find cover. Now, the enemies have finally decided to take Alpha. A destroyer came and is now trying to take the point. But he is spotted. A friendly battleship is moving in there. But the Fuso is not the best choice for brawling. The turret layout is not that great if you are facing the enemy. And, well, the Fuso is not the best armored battleship out there. So in a New Mexico or in a Bayern, for example, German and US battleships at this tier, they are much better suited for a brawl. Now the destroyer is at least taken care of, so there is that. But the Fuso is, well, he has an enemy New Mexico there and a Cleveland. Now what you also have to say is, if in a battleship, if you are in a forward position like this, turning around will most likely get you killed, because battleships turn rather slowly and you have to show your broadside while turning, and you will take a lot of damage while you execute this turn. So the best thing you can often do is just face the enemy and put your ship in reverse. And, well, you might still sink, but it will be much harder for the enemy to take you down. So turning your ship can really cost you your ship. And there is no way the Fuso can effectively retreat. I mean, there is no island here to take cover behind, and there is even an island which will further hinder his retreat. So it would have been much better if there was like a New Mexico or so leading the charge. The friendly battleships here seem to go with him, so at least that's nice. Meanwhile, ValkyrWarframe is going over here, and there is a Congo going for Bravo, and he is trying to defend that point. Looks like the friendly team is losing the ships over there at Charlie. It's still a somewhat even match. Congo is burning, but in an Atlanta you don't have a lot of burst damage, you do a lot of damage over time, but it will take time to take out this Congo. And you really don't want to chase down a battleship. Now he has delayed this battleship a little bit, maybe the carrier can take care of the Congo, and he will refocus his efforts in supporting those two battleships who have now turned around and are retreating again. Still nobody has captured this point, which is really surprising for me. I think the enemies could have moved here in force a long time ago. And I guess if the enemies don't move in, the friendlies could have tried with all battleships at the front maybe to make a push. Although it would have been risky against overwhelming forces. Now this New Mexico is burning nicely. And again, he is trying to... he is not detected currently. He's using this little island there as a cover, and he's lopping his shells over the mountain. And that's exactly what you have to do with an Atlanta if you want to be successful. If you are spotted, the enemies will focus you down, because an Atlanta is very annoying. And you don't really have the hit points or the armor to take shots in an Atlanta. And you can see the gunborne turrets pointing this way. The New Mexico is probably really angry right now. And finally, ValkyrWarframe is spotted. He is forced to reverse here. He can't take the shells from the New Mexico. Also, you can see he was currently using armor piercing. I think his plan is just to set the enemy on fire, and once he has started a couple of fires, he is switching to armor piercing. And you can just see the shells raining down, and you can also see that a lot of shells don't really do much. So this is mostly just to start fires. And he has switched back to armor piercing. This New Mexico is burning nicely. And the next target is the Cleveland. Now the friendly battleships are still not... I think now at this point they might have a good chance of... Okay, they lost the friendly battleship, never mind that. So the Cleveland should be going down too as well. And that leaves the New Mexico here remaining. There is still a battleship over there who is under attack by the carrier. Hopefully the carrier can do something about this battleship. And then there is also an enemy cruiser left, and we don't know where exactly he is. Now an enemy is complaining that the Atlanta is paid to win. Well... no, the Atlanta is more of a pay-to-lose ship in general. Although yes, in the right hands and the right situation, the Atlanta can be a powerful ship, but so can anything. I would not consider the Atlanta a very powerful ship overall. There comes the New Mexico now. ValkyrWarframe is keeping his ship angled. He is spotted. Unfortunately, this island is too low to provide cover. But at least he is doing a decent job in dodging those shells. And there is the friendly battleship here helping. Now it would obviously be nice to have this friendly battleship in the front. Let's check him. Yes, I mean, it's only a König, but he is at very high health total. But the König is coming this way and he might just charge in there and help take out this New Mexico. And you can see even very well angled. You can get hit quite nastily by an enemy battleship. So he's moving his Atlanta out of the way now, trying to find cover behind this island. Hopefully the New Mexico will shift his fire to the friendly König. And maybe he can use this island and lob shells over it. And use the spotting from the friendly battleship. And hey, there is a Widerer, which is nice. Meanwhile, it looks like the carrier has dealt with the enemy battleship, so there is, besides this one New Mexico, there is a cruiser around somewhere. But the friendly team is now finally capping Alpha. They have quite a big point lead, and once they take out the New Mexico, this game should be secured. So now all they have to do is take out the New Mexico without getting sunk themselves. And, well, even angled like this, one good salvo could always take out the Atlanta. So he is reversing here and only one minor hit, which is nice. This salvo could have been rather devastating. And he wisely, once he saw the shells, he reversed behind the island. Now he will go back out again, hoping the New Mexico is meanwhile switching his fire to the friendly battleship. And I mean, if he holds his shells to go after the Atlanta, then he isn't shooting anything. Now the carrier has also arrived to help out. This is a very nice torpedo drop, and with combined forces, this New Mexico should go down soon. And there goes the New Mexico. The last salvo did quite a lot of damage to Atlanta, demonstrating one more time how easily an Atlanta could get destroyed. But he survived here, and well, nothing interesting further happened in this battle. The friendly team won by points, so we will just jump to the results here. ValkyrWarframe managed to get 3,450 points of base experience. Certainly very well done by him. He scored 18 plane kills, which is impressive considering that the enemy carrier lived long enough to deliver exactly one airstrike. And yes, he managed to score 4 kills. He certainly demonstrated how to play the Atlanta right. He was constantly trying to use islands as cover, try to lob shells over an island. He dealt with enemy destroyers in the front, and well, he tried his best to support the capture points and realized that in his ship he just had no chance of moving in. Unfortunately, his team was rather passive at his side, and so he was forced to hold the front lines. That's not exactly an ideal position in an Atlanta, but he made it work, and he certainly did very well. ValkyrWarframe managed to get Confederate, Widerer and High Caliber. He did almost 170,000 points of damage and scored 626 hits. So it was a very impressive game in the Atlanta. I really enjoyed watching it. I hope you did as well. And I'll see you guys next time.